Hey, what's up, interweb world? We're not doing a podcast, we're doing a webinar, so it's a little bit different than normal, and I don't exactly know what to say sometimes when we completely mix it up. But welcome to Thursdays with Thaddeus and Evan. We're gonna be talking
Cheers, man.
marketing, all things. Um, we talked to a bunch of different HVAC owners in the space in the last couple weeks, just asking them, what were some of the wins, what were some of the losses this past summer, and where were the struggles, where were the triumphs, what went well, what didn't. So we're going to break down some of those lessons here from the people that we talked to, and then of course from our own clients and things that we witnessed as well. So I'm excited for the conversation.
Yeah, me too. And again, it's something completely different, right? I mean, we used to do these, and we talk a lot about, or at least I talk a lot about on our podcast, the fact that we own a marketing company and we need to do a little bit better of a job of promoting our own marketing company, right? And so it's funny that we're having that conversation here, but this is really to be able to provide value to you guys from what we see with others.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we definitely want to acknowledge is just the the turbulence that was 2023 so far, and especially the summertime. I mean, we went through a time where the weather just did not want to cooperate with a lot of markets across the country, and summer didn't even hit till July in a lot of cases. And then it hit really hot and really heavy. And the adjustment period of what went through that was really difficult for a lot of people. And the speed of which being able to make adjustments to when it was slow to then when it picked up again was incredibly crucial to the success or failure of your year. Um, there was a lot of people that echoed some of those sentiments. Definitely the economy and the kind of silent recession that we're in right now. Um, the reality is that we've got to adjust, and companies have been going through recessions for hundreds of years. So, um, well, I guess 100-ish years, going back to the Great Depression and all of that. But on average, they happen every 5 years. Our economic uncertainty is a reality of running a business, and you have to be able to adjust and pivot within that. So we're going to talk about that. And then private equity, let's face it, they've come in hot and heavy in the last 3 years into the home services space. They put in a ton of money. Some of them have succeeded and done really well with it. A lot of owners have exited and done really well with it, and a lot of them have struggled too. And both on the owner side and on the PE side, where they came in thinking that it was just going to be a piece of cake. We're going to come in and run these businesses, and they just don't understand the space. They don't understand the people, and the pitfalls of that in a market, but also the benefits of that for businesses that are still local and dominating there. So, um, yeah, 2023 was a very, very, very interesting year. Uh, and the businesses that truly succeeded throughout it were ones that were able to adjust and pivot and make new decisions and course correct constantly.
Right. And here's the thing is that it's the tumultuous times aren't necessarily over either, right? I mean, we're at the very beginning of what some people think is going to be, one of the worst recessions we've had in a while, right? And so understanding and recognizing that, but also taking the steps within inside your business. And maybe I'll go on a rant later about that because I know one of the guests had talked about that specifically, and I'll go on my rant later on how that can actually work for your business to be able to not only just make it through, but to succeed as well. So I'm curious, Evan, in terms of looking at, all the information that we've had and all the information that we gathered from others and from our own, marketing business, what are some things, or I guess what's one thing that if you look at, a start, stop, keep method, and, we do this frequently with inside of our business as well. What should we start doing? What should we stop doing? What should we keep doing? What are some things that in looking back retrospectively that somebody should start doing for marketing in 2023? Or I guess in 2024.
Well, and a lot of this came from, here's the things. It's really, really easy, I think, to look at all the pitfalls in a business, and really easy to look at, where did we fall short? What could we have done better? What could we improve on? What's oftentimes just as important is to really focus in on what were the wins and what did we succeed on as well? What do we need to keep doing? And we're definitely going to touch on that too. So in terms of your question, what should a business start doing? One of the people that we reached out to said that focusing too heavily on just lead generation, so Google ads, Facebook ads, SEO? How can we generate more leads versus how can we be omnipresent? How can we grow our brand within a market? When we think about businesses that are doing really, really well right now, and I mean, we met a lot of them at the events that we went to in the last couple of weeks at Profit Rocket and Service World Expo. Um, they have really amazing brands and they've been around for a minute. And so they're doing things outside of just lead generation. They're also doing things with direct mail, with print, with radio, with video ads and content marketing outside of just trying to get that. Hey, do you want to replace your air conditioner for $89?
That gets tiring, that offer.
It really does. It's overused. And these businesses are really diving into how can we do things differently? What are the guerrilla marketing tactics that worked in the 90s that we can now pull into now and improve upon it using technology? And so I think the businesses that dove into Reels, for example, and TikTok, we talk about Anchor and what they've done with TikTok. It's incredible. But it's about adapting to the times, but using old principles and bringing it into an omnipresent approach today.
Oh, 100%. And you mentioned, the guerrilla marketing tactics from the 90s that worked really well until everybody started doing it, right? And maybe one could argue, well, we're getting to that point with online. I don't think so. But when you look at some of the things that worked really well, I guess we could maybe talk about that in the keep part of things, but we're here, so let's talk about it. So the idea of leveraging something like a direct mail piece, right? People are thinking, okay, well, if I'm only on Facebook, why should I do direct mail? Well, think about this omnipresent approach that you can leverage with inside of your business. If you add in direct mail, and it doesn't have to be widespread across the entire city, you're going to blow your wad in one go if you're trying to target 500,000 homes in your area or even 20,000 homes in your area. Why not target where you're already doing jobs, right? So you leverage technology, like you mentioned. Now you can say, okay, well, why don't I send a direct mail postcard to the neighbors around, depending on when your scheduling is. I mean, if some people are booking, a week out, sometimes they're like same day or next day. Maybe this beginning part might not necessarily work just for timing, but you send out a card that you're not selling anything. Hey, you know what? We're doing a job in your area. If you happen to notice, a truck parked wrong or some garbage or whatever, just come let us know. We'll happily take care of it and move it for you. Right after the job, you send another one saying, hey, we just helped out your neighbor with XYZ product. Do you want to get the same thing? Hey, here's a low cost offer, right? But then you also take one step further and you get those machines that handwrite notes and you send that to your client base. Right? Now you're not going across an entire city, you're going into owning your backyard.
There you go. Do we give a plug to our friends?
Oh, Dope Marketing, 100%. Yeah, Dope Marketing. You can get that. We if you just want to go through us, let us know. We can hook you up. Better deal. Then what he charges.
That's a service that Dope Marketing offers, and it integrates directly into your field management software to be able to target your exact neighborhoods that you're working in, which I love.
Chirp also, it integrates really well with Dope Marketing.
Absolutely, it does. Another one that we got from a start perspective was being able to adjust quickly as revenues fluctuated, right? So throughout the year, you're going to get those influxes of revenue because of weather, right? In Canada, it drips down below 40 degrees. Well, shit, you're going to get a whole lot of calls and you're not going to have to work very hard for them, right? And when it's 100 degrees in Texas, you're not going to have to work very hard for those calls. They're going to come. So how is it that you can adjust your marketing budgets consistently to be able to match what it is that you're getting in terms of call volume? And you don't want huge fluctuations in that, but you do want to be able to make adjustments and lower the call volume when you don't need it, or at least lower where, not lower the call volume, low in the ad spend where it's needed and be able to adjust appropriately. So instead of necessarily putting out an ad to try and generate a call, maybe you put out an ad to increase your brand awareness, right? So now you can adjust appropriately based on the time of year and know that you can still gain market share even when it is that your phones are ringing off the hook.
I like that. And then when you do get those calls, another thing you can start is call by call. And we've had a few guests on our podcast talking about call by call management and how it's really impacted their business. And when you can get down into this granular level, or I mean, you even take it to the next level of using AI technology like CXC in what Amanda Triolo and crew are working on. Now you can actually leverage the technology to be able to adequately serve the customer better. Now, you notice I didn't say take advantage of the customer, right? Adequately serve the customer better. Especially, I think the call by call really comes into play when you have selling techs. You know, that oftentimes the technicians didn't really get into fixing HVAC to sell HVAC, right? They got into it to be able to help. Now, if you can take part of that sales pressure off of those call by calls and the selling techs, now you can actually leverage what's best for the customer. And when you do that, guess what? Business is better as a result.
Right. Which again comes back to your culture. And we've talked about that numerous times too. And do you have the right culture in your business to want to help people first, or is it just to try and sell and make the most amount of money? So,
and there are some companies that I just want to work for everybody in my city once. No, don't be that company.
Yep, it exists.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on the operational side of things and how that ties into marketing and being able to best handle all the leads that you do get?
Oh man, where do we even begin? Look, as the ops guy in our business, this is something that's near and dear to me. But when you look at making sure that the operations can keep up with it, right? If your marketing company, like, you need to dial it in. You need to dial in your process. And who was it? I saw somebody's post. Stephanie Gordon. She made a post about calling like a company and the amount of over communication that was all over the map, right? But then also you calling other companies and you never hear back from them. They don't answer their phone. So if you're paying for marketing and you're doing marketing and you want to grow your business, you need to have your operational house in order. So what do I mean by that? Well, if your marketing company sends you 100 leads, marketed leads, and you can't answer the phone for 30% of those, well, now those 30%, they're in a pain. They're in a need most times. They're going to move on to somebody else. Now you've missed those 30 people. And then if you don't have any good processes in place to get that person on the board, to be able to get that job booked, to be able to get them and service their pain and their frustration right away, they're gone. Right. And so making sure that you have the ability to be able to take that marketed lead and turn them into a customer. And then from there, obviously, you send them into raving fan about your business by the way of your delivery and how you do those sorts of things. So, and look, there's many other spaces out there that can help you get your organizational house in order. But if you have a team, here's one thing you should also start doing: secret shop them, or have a friend secret shop them. So what do I mean by that? Well, call your business, act like a customer, disguise your phone number if you need to, if you have the call display, and see what the process is like. See what it's like all the way through from start to finish. And now you're going to be able to secret shop that. And when you have that ability, now you can kind of see, okay, where might my holes be on an operational capacity from a customer's point of view. And when you start putting in the customer experience and the customer's point of view into your business, guess what's going to happen for it? People are going to want to continue to do business with you. They're going to want to refer their friends to you because you've put them at the forefront.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
It's well, even Victor put out a post when he was calling people around the reality TV show that he was trying to do, where he is doing, not trying to do, he is doing. Over half of the businesses that he called on didn't answer their phone. Right. And so when that's the case, it's like, well, guess what? He's got a lot of opportunities there to do a reality TV show and turn those businesses around. That's the low hanging fruit, is just picking up the phone and then answering it with a smile on your face. Right?
Yep.
We did plenty of shows this year talking about that exact thing and proper CSR management. Yeah, we can secret shop. We can also listen to the calls and see how our people are doing. The thing I do love about the secret shopping component of it is the ability to really grill them in a certain way to see how they respond to it. Right. So you do get a different experience than if you were just listening to calls, especially if you can get a friend to call in, because now you get a different perspective and you can go back and listen to what that call was like too. So.
Right. Definitely. Or be there with your friend and have them put on speakerphone so you can actually hear it too. Right. And maybe
you just jump in and start yelling at your CSR while they're doing it.
Well, that's also one thing you could start as desk alongs too, right?
Yes.
And that's just being with your CSR team to be able to listen to them and help them and listen to calls and coach them along the way. And if you're not doing that inside your business, I mean, look, if you don't take your front end staff, the CSRs, seriously and give them the adequate training, they are the first person that a customer that their experience is. Right?
Mhm.
Think about that. That is the first person that they have an interaction with. If that interaction is poor, it's an uphill battle.
Yeah,
Okay? Now,
100%.
that being said, I mean, obviously, we've talked about some of the operational stuff, Evan. Okay, great. Your operational stuff is in order. Is there anything that, in terms of like the marketing company side of things and working with a marketing company, that somebody should start doing?
Absolutely. And this kind of goes hand in hand with what we talked about around, managing revenues and managing expectations around the fluctuations of the year, but taking the time to have strategy calls with your marketing company. This was something that someone we reached out to spoke about, and how they wish that they got more of that from their marketing partner. Um, to be able to take the time, at least on a quarterly basis, to not just look at numbers and, okay, here's where you're ranking and here's what your reports say and here's what your Google Analytics say, but to go deeper into, okay, well, what's our next 3 months really look like? Right? Taking at least half an hour to 45 minutes to plan that out. Ideally, you have this already in your own business, but now we need to have proper communication back and forth between your marketing company and you, to have real strategy there, to be able to make adjustments on the fly so that you can consistently go after the numbers that you want. But you got to take
Mm,
the time to do it. And I know, believe me, I know how hard that is when it's fucking busy.
mhm.
It's really difficult. And that is the most important time. One of the most frustrating conversations I had in the spring was, it was with one of our clients, and they said, call volume's low right now. We're done all of our outbounding. And this is like late spring. So it should have already heated up, but it wasn't hot out yet. And they're like, we're just trying to maximize every call that we can get right now. And I turned the mirror around on them and I said, why aren't we doing this all year round? Why aren't we trying to maximize every call all year round? Every one of them is an opportunity for us to wow a customer and make a customer for life. Why are we just letting that go because it feels like it's going to be a zero ticket, or it feels like it's going to be a low ticket? We just got to get to the next call and get to the next call and get to the next call. We need to make sure that we maximize every single opportunity that we have, because it is a potential sale at some point down the road.
Don't 100%. And by the way, on purpose media, guess what we do? Strategy sessions just like that. So, in case you're wondering, got to
Totally.
plug that in there. Got to plug that in there. Come on, shameless plug, shameless plug. So, is there anything else that you think that in terms of the conversations that you've had and with individuals and in our business, that you think a person should start doing? And hey, look, I'm pretty sure we could probably talk for an hour on things that should start doing, but there's some other things that we could probably talk about too.
That's what I was just looking at, was the timing, and I know there's some important things on the stop side of things that we need to talk about too,
All
and
right.
then focusing on what it is that some guys were doing really, really well, and making sure that we share those lessons too. So I think we're good to
Perfect.
start doing.
Cool. Well, let's talk about some of those things that somebody should stop doing, right? And look, I think this exercise, by the way, the start, stop, keep, is something that somebody should put into their business all the time. Not just from what we're talking about here, but looking at your entirety of your business to say, okay, what should I start doing? What should I stop doing? What should I keep doing? But also getting your team involved in some of this as well, because they're going to see things that you may not have seen or may not be paying attention to anymore, that just aren't relevant for the stop or even the start. They're going to come up with some ideas, right? And so having your team bought in also creates that culture from it as well. So what's your top stop that you think people should learn from 2023, Evan?
Not tracking costs daily, especially
Mm,
when you are running a bigger business, right? Eight
okay.
figures, you're spending a good amount of money, right? If you're at 8 figures and you're spending 10%, you're spending at least $1 million a year on marketing, $1.2 million a year on marketing. If you're not tracking where that money is going and you're not making every dollar work for you, it's very easy to just let some slip through the cracks. And in this one case, they ended up overspending by $40,000 in a day,
Mm-hmm.
right? Tracking your costs daily. What are those daily metrics that you need to look at as an owner every single day? What are the weekly metrics? What are the monthly metrics? What is the annual metrics? Having those numbers in front of you constantly. I know for some guys, they like to get it in a text message. For some, it's the data cube dashboards being up on the wall all over the office. But you need something that is letting you know where you're at. What is the pulse of your business? If you're not inspecting what you're expecting, then you're probably not going to get it. So you need to know where it is that you're at.
100%. And that's the thing is like but also in those KPIs and look, there's different KPIs for different sizes of business. We've had plenty of guests on the podcast that have talked about that. But I think one important one is also looking and having conversations with your marketing agency to know what KPIs they're expected to hit for you, right? Do you know, sitting down, if you're running Google Ads, for example, do you know what the KPIs that they're trying to hit are? Do you know what their click-through rate they're trying to hit? Do you know what their conversion rate is that they're trying to hit? Do you know what their cost per lead is that they're trying to hit? And when you have this deep communication level on those sorts of things, now there's transparency inside of the results that they're trying to get for you. By the way, those are leading indicators, right? Obviously, a click-through rate and a conversion rate and a cost per lead don't necessarily mean book jobs on the board. You really need to look at, okay, what's your cost per acquisition? What are you actually spending to acquire one client from one source? There's some great things out there. Searchlight's one of those companies that has that transparency in that data. So I'm not saying that those are the end all be all, but they're leading indicators to that. But then that's that one step further is what's your cost per acquisition? And that's going to give you a true source to understand, okay, is my marketing company holding up their end of the bargain based off of the KPIs that they want, based off of the KPIs that they're looking for, right? And also the KPIs that I'm looking for and that I want. And if you're unsure of the KPIs, again, have those conversations with individuals. Ask what those KPIs should be, because different marketing companies are probably going to have different KPIs and they're going to get you different results at the end of the day. By the way, in a large, a cost per acquisition, by the way, for Google Ads, roughly, give or take, depending on market nuances, can be anywhere from 150 to 225, at the very high end, $250 to acquire one Google Ads client, right? Looking back at the SEO side of things, okay, well, we could go Facebook, but Facebook's one of those misnomers. I got 1,000 leads for $3. Guess what? They're all shit, right? So like again, it's understanding what the numbers are, if you're running Facebook ads, generally speaking, if you're booking 6 to 10% of those Facebook leads, you've got a good KPI, but understanding what those metrics are. Do you have those conversations with your marketing company to understand those things? When it comes to SEO, are they having conversations about, where are your rankings? If you have 1,000 rankings in your area, keywords that are showing up, well, okay, well, what are my impact ones? What are you trying to go for in terms of an impact, by the way, is like AC repair near me, and a non-impact one is like a blog post that's like, targeting all of the USA, and you get traffic into your website. And sometimes traffic for traffic's sake isn't a good strategy, but sometimes traffic for traffic's sake is a good strategy if it's the right traffic to be able to send signals to Google. That's a longer conversation, but understanding what their goals are to be able to get you to those things in terms of your keywords, or where are you showing up in your Google Maps, and what's the KPIs that you guys are looking for to be able to hit all green lights in your little map view ranking. And if your marketing company's never shown you a report on where your Google business profile ranks with green, yellow, or red, you should probably ask them to see that report, because that's an important one. It doesn't have to be on every single monthly strategy call either, by the way, but you should actually start to see some of those. If they don't provide that, I'd be like, oh, red flag, what's going on, right? And so having those conversations and working with your marketing agency are super important. And so I guess I forgot what the stop was. I kind of went on a rant.
Setting KPIs with our marketing agency. So what KPIs would you want to see if you're sitting in your home service business? That is, you're running the company. What marketing KPIs would you want to see?
Well, at the end of the day, cost per acquisition is my revenue going up and my revenue going down. If I'm a business owner, that's what I care about, right? Okay, where's my revenue? Am I going up, or am I going down, or am I staying stagnant, right? Now, if I'm looking at my marketing agency, I'd be like, okay, well, great. The click-through rates, I'm going to talk about PPC, because you can talk about more of the SEO side of things. But if I'm looking at PPC and I see a report, I'm going to want to see a click-through rate in and around that 6%, right? 4 to 6%. Sorry, apparently I had focus mode on my computer and it was telling me focus mode's all done. That 4 to 6% click-through rate, conversion rate, 20 to 30%. Cost per lead is such a variable depending on the market. But again, looking at 50 to 100, right? Now, if you have those numbers, by the way, that's where you're going to get to your 180, 150 to 225 cost per acquisition. That's really what I care about is, okay, how much does it actually cost me to acquire one client, both on PPC, on Facebook, and even SEO to a lesser extent, right? Because SEO is one of those ones where if you're brand new to SEO, it's going to start super high. Like if you're paying your marketing company to $3,000, $4,000 per month for SEO, which by the way, $500 a month for SEO for an entire website is dog shit. Don't do it. Stop doing that. Stop. Actually get a good marketing company, cough on purpose media cough, to be able to do it for you. So stop paying bottom dollar and expecting top results, right? I mean, we talk about that with the guys in the trucks, right? All the time you see it in the Facebook groups. These guys won't stop. Okay, well, raise each other up, right? So if you're a marketing company listening to this, stop doing that too, because it's shit. Rant over. So if you're doing SEO and you're brand new and you're paying $2,000 a month, well, guess what? You might not get any clients for the first month. So your cost per acquisition is really high, right? As you fast forward to 12 months later down the road, now if you've got 200 clients that come on board and you're paying that same $2,000, by the way, random numbers, right? Just making it up to give you an example. Now your cost per acquisition is even lower. So it actually drives down over time. And so understanding those things are important for it. So
No,
now, yeah. So Evan, so I mean, I guess that kind of breeds me another question, right? Is saying, okay, well, we're talking about, working with your marketing agency and just stop not setting KPIs with them. Then you probably need to look at revenues, right? And because I talked about cost per acquisition, is revenue going up or is revenue going down or is revenue staying stagnant? So is there anything from a revenue standpoint that you think somebody should stop doing?
I mean, it comes back to what we talked about before. It's like not adjusting quickly as revenues are fluctuating, right? So if we're seeing call volume dip, we're seeing revenues dip, are we then putting money back into our ad spend to try and pick up the calls, right? If SEO is not doing it, what else are we going to do to try and generate those calls? Do we have our guys knocking on doors when they're out doing a call? Right? What are we doing that's going to be revenue generating activities within the business? If we've got guys averaging one call a day instead of 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever that number is for you in your market and your service line, making sure that you're maximizing every opportunity that you can to get in front of people. Put out door hangers, knock on the doors. Hey, we're in the neighborhood. We're doing a tune up over here. Just wanted to let you know. We are running a special for the neighborhood since we're already here anyways. If you're interested, just let us know. You can click the QR code on the pamphlet. But also wanted to let you know in case there was any dirt, dust, or debris or anything like that you needed us to take care of. Right. And now you're just taking care of people in the community while marketing yourself at the same time. With that fluctuations though, like with what we saw in the climate and weather picking up rapidly out of nowhere in June, for in some places not till July, it was super cool in May. Layoffs were a thing that companies had to do to try and stay afloat during that time for some of them. Was there anything that you saw in terms of the conversations you had around hiring and underhiring in cases of dealing with the fluctuations of the calls?
Yeah, you know what? I think every business has kind of went through that as well. And the kind of preface that part is, okay, well, stop looking for the silver bullet too, right? There's just not one thing that you need to be able to do or invest in to be able to help your business out, right? But when you look at hiring, I mean, some people will be like, okay, well, how do I, and this, by the way, this stop under hiring or stop over hiring for your business kind of goes in line with everything we just talked about on the stop side of things, right? So, if you don't have KPIs with your marketing company, so you don't know, okay, well, if I'm going to spend $10,000 per month in Google Ads, what should I realistically expect based off of my KPIs, aka how many people are calling in, what's your booking rate, what's your average tickets, et cetera. You should actually be able to walk this backwards, okay, to be able to say, all right, based off of $10,000 in ad spend, I'm going to generate this many calls. I have this many texts to be able to run this many calls, right? And so you can actually plan this out. So if you stop just trying to go on a whim and hire people as for the sake of hiring people or working your team to the bone for the sake of working your team to the bone, stop doing that, right? Start putting in some of these metrics and these things that we've talked about into your business, especially from the marketing side, because then it becomes more predictable. And when you
Yeah.
can get more predictable, now you can get predictable behind your hiring. Um, the other part is sometimes people will rush to hire the wrong person. Believe me, been there, done that, right? And not just on purpose media, but like other businesses that I've hired too. I've hired the wrong people. And you know what? Even great companies that have great hiring processes and like phenomenal through the roof will still get it wrong 30% of the time, right? They're only going to get it right 70% of the time on average, right? And if you have shitty hiring principles and shitty hiring processes, well, guess what? You're going to get it wrong a lot more than you're going to get it right, right? But taking that time, the adage is hire slow, fire fast. If you hire fast, fire slow, stop doing that.
It's going to hurt your business a lot,
Mhm.
right? And I think it even comes down to the idea of just using the term hiring in general. When is it you're hiring? Hiring is a passive activity. It's putting out an ad on Indeed, asking if somebody wants to apply, taking in the applications, interviewing them, and hiring someone from that.
Mhm.
The idea of recruiting never stops. You're always recruiting. You're always looking for great people to add to your team. Whether that's a technician, a CSR, a manager, a dispatcher, it doesn't matter. You're always looking for great people. A janitor, like Thaddeus is, right? We
That's
need great
we have
people,
a virtual office, and that's actually how my name is on our virtual office. Is my nameplate is janitor.
right? But it's that idea of we are always looking for great people. And now, from a marketing perspective, how can we utilize different platforms to communicate to different people to tell them about how great our company is, not just to try and make a sale, but also to try and draw people in? I know Tommy Mello's got some great ideas on this in his book, which he was just on the show a couple of weeks ago. So go check out his book, Elevate. It's absolutely fantastic. And he's got some great strategies in there where you can utilize your team to help you recruit top people, because top people know more top people. And it's a great way to bring more people into your organization. So go check out his book. He's got some great tips in there. Um, you're welcome, Tommy. Um,
No, sorry, I'm not laughing about that. I'm laughing about this. If I hire a
yeah,
new
so
janitor, what will I do? And that's Tersh.
yeah.
So I find that funny.
But yeah, again, it's that idea of how can we always be recruiting? How can we always be looking for top people? And then we don't have to get into that position of hiring out of desperation. We're
Right.
always looking for top people that we can train and help grow and help develop into the role, as opposed to looking for that silver bullet that can come in and just be that top technician. Because guess what? The top technicians aren't looking for work.
Sorry, I muted myself. I had a visitor into the office. Uh, 100%. I think we've covered a lot of the start. We've covered a lot of the stop in the essence of time and everybody in there, looking at keep, right? So start, stop, keep. What are some things that somebody should keep doing in their business? These are the things that worked really well, right? These are the things that a person should double down on in a sense, because now you're saying, okay, well, these things worked great for us. We can continue to do this to continue to grow our business. These work for others. Hey, you know what? Likely going to work for you as well. So, in looking at that, I guess there's a lot of different keeps that a person can go down. What do you think would be your top keep?
Well, and again, just to preface this, so when you're doing this exercise for yourself, which by the way, don't worry about it. We took care of everything for you. You don't have to do any thinking for yourself or any introspective journeys into your own business and figuring out what it is that's going right for you. But the reality is that when you do take the time to do this for yourself, this is the hardest part. What did we do really well? What are our wins? And if you are doing this with your team, I would suggest starting with this part, because it gets the room a beat and they're not beating down on themselves and what they failed at, but it starts talking about where the wins are. So focusing on that first will help bring people up. Um, this came from someone who actually buried the win within a shitty moment, which was they were told they had to sell their business, in order to sell their business, they would need to change marketing companies. They did that and results fell apart. Everything fell apart in their business in terms of a marketing perspective and generating leads. SEO went down, PPC went down, everything became a huge struggle for them just to get the phone to the ring. So what did they do? They pivoted and dove hard and heavy into outbounding their current customer base. And this was the huge win. Imagine if now they would have had that and everything else working on point, because they still doubled their revenue this last year despite all of their marketing efforts going to shit. But because of their outbounding, they were able to double their business in a year. And this isn't a small business, by the way. This is a significant business that is doing extremely well. When you have great operators, this is the kind of thing that can happen where you just find a way out of no way. And that's what they did. But outbounding is incredibly important. There's many different ways that you can go about doing it, right? Obviously, there are technologies that exist, like our friends at chirp.com/HSSR for 25%
25% off.
first 30 months, 3 months.
30 months. Hey, sorry, Ryan.
But yeah, it's a great way to now take 25 to 40% of your customer base and get it an automated outbounding going out to them. The rest of them, you're still going to have to call them, whether it's you or using another service to be able to outbound them. Yeah, we got a better deal than you did, Tersh. But you do still have to outbound these people one way or another. This just allows you to do it in a simpler way to get some of that off your plate, and you can drip it out over time. So it doesn't have to be 1,000 text messages going out all at once and you can't get back to people. Drip it out 20, 30, 50, 100 at a time so that you can get out and make contact with all these people, get them on the board, get the tune-up scheduled, and get in front of people.
Right. And the essence of that is, I mean, desperate times call for desperate measures, and failure isn't an option. What is your own, what's your battle in here? Right. And for when those are listening later, I'm pointing at, my head, right. Some people say it's 90% mental. I mean, shit, it's almost 95% mental, almost 99% mental in terms
At least
of running.
90% of the game is half mental for sure.
Oh, right. So, and I was just fucking up with numbers. I mean, all statistics are made up, including those ones. Sorry, is what 50% of all statistics are made up, including those ones. So, but really, when you think about that, is saying, okay, well, what is your actual, give a shit meter, right? Are you going to keep fighting for you? Are you going to keep fighting for your business? Are you going to keep fighting for your team? Or are you just going to stop and call it quits, right? Some people think that 2024 is going to get more difficult than 2023 was. Some people are completely opposite. But if you think it's going to get more difficult, guess what? You've already lost, right? So adjust your mindset. So if you have that positive mindset, keep that up. And you think about that, one of the things in had a conversation is they in 2023 kept advertising despite others in their market pulling back. Others in their market were getting scared. And they're like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just keep going, right? Let's keep doing what we need to do. Now, here's the thing. And so I'm going to go on my long rant about recessions, and I've studied this in depth. I mean, it's been a little while since I've updated it. This was last done 2015, just coming out of our last, mini recession here in Canada in around like 2013, 2014. And I started print magazines during a recession. So you tell me that, hey, recessions matter, or they don't. Yeah, I started a print magazine.
Created print magazines?
No, I started a print magazine.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yes. Started a print magazine during a recession, and it grew, right? Launched it. And so the thing is that, and this goes back to like 1945, 1950s, when advertising started becoming more and more prevalent, right? And Evan mentioned it, 5 years, some people say 5 to 7 years, we get a recession. It's history, right? The one that we're in right now is a little bit longer from the last one. COVID was actually supposed to be, or just before that, the next dip, and then it kind of flipped the narrative on us, and now we're hitting it even harder. So not going to go into the economic side of things, but we know that it comes. We know that it happens. And here's the thing. Here's the fascinating part about recessions. The businesses that continue to spend money during the recessions, guess what happened to them when the recession was over? Because guess what happens?
Spend money on what?
And advertising. I'm talking about advertising, right? And so now you lost my train of thought. So the businesses that spent the money on advertising, right? They come out of it when the recession ends, because recessions always end, right? It's been that way forever and ever and ever and ever. Recessions will end. They came out of their competition well above sales. I think the number is like 200% on average versus their competitors. Hey, so here's the thing, is that consumers still pay attention I mean, maybe you have to shift some of your dollars to somewhere else, right? Consumers still pay attention to the brands that are advertising during a recession. And here's why, because it shows confidence in their product,
Yep.
right? When they see that, they might not be ready to buy the product right then and there, but if they continue to see it, continue to see it, continue to see it, drives home the point of stability with inside of an organization. Here's the other part in dealing with heating and cooling, right? In Canada, even though it's a recession, if your furnace quits, you're going to need to fix it, right? If it's 100 degrees plus in the southern US and your AC quits, I mean, some people will live without it. They're crazy. But they're going to need to fix it, right? So people are now the transition happens of moving away from the install focused advertising to more of the repair focused advertising, right? We've been in an install economy for the last couple of years. People are at home, they're getting uncomfortable, they're replacing their units. Now, okay, they're a little bit worried, they're maybe not doing that nearly as much. So they're going to actually go to repairs, right? So shifting your marketing strategy and keep your advertising going, just shift it to where it matters and where the priorities are, because that's what's going to matter for you in 2024. That's my rant.
Well, and if you look at that and let's say you take a different approach, right? Let's put out some marketing that's going to address the fact that, hey, maybe people are struggling right now. Maybe it's because of the increased pricing of food and gas and everything else. Prices are skyrocketing. I actually did the conversion on gas in California to Canadian dollars, and it worked out to be like $2.20 a liter Canadian.
Oh,
And it
that's
was, yeah,
well, I
yeah,
thought our gas is expensive. Jeez.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Um,
That's even more expensive than BC, and BC is crazy.
yeah. But it's now, how can we pivot and utilize that messaging to show compassion and empathy for their situation and give them an offer that makes sense? Billy Stevens put out a post a while ago, just in the Facebook groups, talking about eliminating dispatch fees. Why are we putting a barrier in between us and the customer? Let's get out to see them, to service them, to do what our technicians were absolutely love to do. And in some cases, were born to do, which was fix shit and help people. Let's eliminate that barrier and get out to them as fast as we can and service people,
Mm-hmm.
right? If we can and create an offer that makes sense for the market and for the environment, that's where you're going to win today and in the long term.
Well, you mentioned keep empathy. It's super important. And again, these are some lessons that we've had from individuals on our podcast that have talked a lot about keeping empathy on the front end. When somebody calls, remember, keep doing this. Keep showing compassion for their situation. Right? Again, I'll use Canada for example. I know it's only 19 Fahrenheit today, right now, but it was a lot colder than that. Like it was minus 19, I think yesterday morning when I woke up, Celsius, by the way, which is almost equal to Fahrenheit. It's like super cold. Uh, if somebody calls and the furnace is broken, show compassion, show empathy, keep doing those sorts of things because they're in pain. Remember that they are in pain. So you want to treat them accordingly.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the flip side of it. The conversations that we had with all the gentlemen that were at Profit Rocket from Any Hour and their group in Utah. I mean, they flat out said, what recession? We're still seeing our 15% growth.
Yep.
And they've consistently been at that pace for a long time. Other than the last couple of years, they had a little bit higher growth because it was COVID and everyone had massive growth. But having that mentality of, you know what, I'm just going to continue to do great business. I'm going to continue to market myself. I'm going to continue to put myself out there. I'm also going to continue to monitor my numbers and not overspend when I don't need to. But to understand that we're not going anywhere. And you can have this mentality as $1 million business, $10 million business, or $100 million business. The mentality doesn't change. How you spend the money obviously will, but the mentality doesn't. And to have that drive and that determination to see it through. I mean, the massive corporations that exist in North America today were born out of recessions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's trying times that will bring about the best in people or the worst in people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I can't echo that much, enough. And so I think in essence of time, I don't want to continue to take we can keep talking about it, but really what, now we're talking about, okay, well, what's 2024 going to have in store, right? How can you position your business? And now we've talked about the lessons from 2023, start, stop, keep. Now it's time to think about, okay, making the right choices for your 2024 marketing campaigns, right? How can I make sure that 2024 is like in any hour that I can continue to grow, double digits every single year? Shit, maybe you want to go triple digits depending on your revenue size. Obviously, not every business can hit that, but what's your goals for 2024? How do you put it into place to be able to really grow your business? Well, guess what? On November 17th, I think at a different time. I don't have the time open. It's 10 a.m. Mountain. So a little bit early in the morning, never too early to have a beer.
Never.
Hey, we'll be doing part 2, by the way, where we go deeper into planning your 2024 to make sure that you're going to have the best year ever. So if you do want to sign up, onpurposemedia.ca/webinar, that's where we're going to post all of our upcoming webinars on there as well. You can click on part 2. I was going to copy the link, but it's a super long one, so we'll just leave it here. You'll see part 2. You click on that guy. There'll be a form there. Make sure you register for that guy, because that's where we're going to unpack what you can do to have your best year ever in 2024.
Yeah. Because if there's anything that we've learned, is that ideation without implementation is the greatest failure. To take this time to pause and reflect, to think about what went well, what didn't go well, what are we going to change moving forward, and then not actually put that action plan into place is the ultimate failure, right?
Mhm.
Definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, right? So many people will put together a goal, will put together a plan, and then they stick it in their top drawer of their desk and they never look at it again. So we want to make sure that that isn't you. And for the thousands of people that watch this webinar and listen to this, we definitely want to make sure that that isn't you. And you're already showing us that that probably isn't, because you're taking the time to watch this all the way through and take great notes and be able to document what it is that you need to start, stop, and keep. So we want to make sure that we help you put the right plan in place so that from a marketing perspective, what is it that you can do moving forward to have your best year ever in 2024?
100%. And if you don't really want to wait for that, by the way, you can hit us up at onpurposemedia.ca/marketing-analysis, where we'll give you a no obligations, no strings attached look through your marketing plan and your marketing, what you currently have on the go, and give you some actionable steps that you can take from that to be able to make it better. And if you're saying, fuck it, I'm in already, onpurposemedia.ca/book-a-call. Let's get on the calendar. Let's have a chat. It doesn't cost you anything but your time. We don't pitch on our first call either. It's us getting to know each other to see if we're a right fit. Because at the end of the day, you want to have a marketing partner that you're not pushed into making a deal with. You want to choose your marketing partner, and that's our idea as well. So,
yeah, we want to get married, and you don't marry someone that you sleep with on the first date. So
that's actually true. Well, I mean, some people might be like, no, actually, I married my spouse after sleeping with them on the first date. But any person that I've ever slept with on the first date, it's always ended poorly.
yeah.
I mean, I was a virgin until I got married. Of course, it wouldn't be an episode without with us if we didn't say something that was borderline offside. So there we go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Well, there's no
This is
fancy
the,
video this
see you
time,
next
so I
Wednesday.
guess this is the awkward ending of our webinar, because we should probably create something that has a little bit more flow to it. So hey, there we go.
For next time. Yeah, go ahead and sign up for the webinar. And if you're interested in getting on a call, follow that link to book a call. And we'd love to have a chat with you and pick apart your marketing and let you know whether your marketing company, what they should start doing, stop doing, or keep doing. And potentially, if you need to make a change, we'll make that recommendation too.
Perfect. And until next
Cheers.
time, cheers.